All right, so rebuilt the tripod again. Might actually be a little more useful now. Has all the proper bolts in it. Just the head that holds the phone had to be replaced. But let's see how well it works. Seems to be doing good so far. All right, so we only got one thing left in the bucket. We'll get it started. Then we dump the vinegar. That is the Vise here, what needs some work. Now, I'll get it in the, well, I'll get it apart. Then I'll get it in the baking soda. See how long it takes to get it right apart into the two whole pieces. The paint seems to be coming off it, which is a good thing. Make life a little easier. There we are. That all seems to be connected together really well. Inside there. So I'm not going to try and take that off. This is going to have to be cut off, but for the moment, we're just going to get some baking soda on it and get some water on it. And see what we can do. I think I'm going to have to refill this water jug. This is the water the cat drinks. It's the water I drink. It's the water we use for everything in the shop. That, yeah, I have to refill that now. That is the beginning. We have to cut off the stuff we got to cut off and clean up the stuff we got to clean up. Replace that bent handle. Find a bolt that'll fit in there. All right, show you the next step. We're back to the green towel, which is currently brown, because surprisingly it's actually cleaner than the other one we were using. And I don't need this to cover the bucket of vinegar anymore since everything's out of the vinegar. Let's see what this vise looks like. If I can avoid taking the whole thing apart, I'm going to avoid taking the spring and assembly and everything apart, but it's going to soak. Let's scrape this one down. Wire brush first. See what that paint comes off. Once again, I'm not making all this stuff perfect. I'm just making it work. Clean it off as best I can. That paint can't help with there are layers of paint on it. Apparently it was originally green, or at least it was green before it was black. It might look better after I get this paint off. All the working surface is cleaned as best I can. Stuff that has mechanical parts rubbing against it. Like the interior in there, which the brush won't fit in, but I've got other brushes for that. And that, it's already looking a little better. Or at the very least, a little easier to read. Might take a scraper to this as well. This thing has been excessively painted. Far more than it would reasonably need to. It is a nice flat jaw. It's not too banged up. So the non-marking aspect of it might still work. I might file that down clean, but probably not. There we are. The old beat-up toothbrush. That's probably the best option. Get some water and baking soda on it. Again, just cleaning the working surfaces on the inside of it. Make sure everything slides against each other evenly and accurately. Much better. See about scraping a bit more of this black off. I shouldn't really worry about it, but yeah. Problem with the paint is a lot of the sludge sticks to it. Not rust, but dirt. There's many, many years of it inside here. These inside curves and such. Right there. There's dirt coming off and there's paint underneath it. Right there. Paint's hidden under a layer of dirt. I'm assuming it was never painted brown. So that'd be sawdust and God knows what else inside there. Really fun part's going to be finding a bolt that'll fit that thread in there once I get that thread cleaned. Wondering if I should be bothered to actually sand this a little after. See what else comes off of it. don't think that should have any paint on at all on the inside, but it does. Looks like somebody spray painted it. Just rattle canned it. Luckily, there's not a lot of rust on it, just a lot of dirt. And that seems to come off with the paint underneath it. So a markless or marples. Okay, so it's not a markless, it's a marples. Marples Sheffield. Yeah, marples. I don't know what marples is. Might be the particular model. Okay, that's as good as I can get this piece. This is going to need some work. I've got that pair of pliers here. Let's see if this will just pull out or not. Probably not. Oh, it does move though. It's not a split pen. Oh, that is just dirt. Look at that. Toothbrush in here. If my teeth were this dirty, I'd go to the dentist. And he'd probably slap me. Clean these threads a bit. Good way to clean the threads. Just shove a brush against it and spin them. Leave them guide itself down to the end. There you go. Look at that. Give me an idea how bad this is. Space on this phone every time I use it. Anyway, I deleted a whole bunch of stuff I didn't think I needed. Hopefully the phone still works. Now, I tried pulling that pin out to get that spring free there, and that don't seem to work. So, since everything still operates, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's give it a quick run down to get paint off. Seems to be flaking pretty easily. It just comes right off. Quick scrape, quick brush. I think it looks better green than it would black, but it honestly looked better with no paint on it at all. So yeah, the phone filled up. I've done installed a bunch of stuff to make room. Now it says I've got 5 gig as opposed to the 2 gig as before. All I did as far as big stuff, was uninstall Telegram and delete a whole bunch of saved conversations in text. I don't know why I had Telegram on there. I never use it. It's a huge file. Suggested for me to use it at one time, and I tried. Didn't like it. Nobody else I know uses it, so couldn't really have a conversation on it. As that kind of thing happens when you start getting old. Try new things and they just don't do it for you. Look at that. You might notice I'm not using the same knife I usually do. It's just actually good, and I don't want a chance damaging it, so I'll just use a shitty one while I'm doing shitty work, cleaning metal, etc. Cleaned on all the sides. Looks a lot better than it did. And I'm going to sand it after I wire brush this. But just going to sand it to get a bit of surface rust off. And this will be a two-parter because I'm not breaking out the power tools yet. Not today anyway. I have to take out the angle grinder to cut this off. I have a replacement rod for that, which I'm just going to push through. Well, I gotta think about it. Should do this surface too. And clean it. I'll clean all of it. At least as much as I can manage. There. I think anything's going to be pretty about this, but it's going to do the job. More of the paint came off of that than this, which is not surprising, but useful. I'll get that little touch of surface rust off those bolt holes. As I said, there is going to be a part 2 of this one. That's about ready. Let's see about this one. You got that touch of surface rust there, which should be able to take out. There. Nice and shiny. Get a bit of oil on that, it'll be great. There. Now, let's line up that screw. Looks a little better. Works just as well. There's just a tiny little bench vise. So that, in the part 2, is going to have to get cut off and replaced. Right now, oil it up, wipe it down. I'm going to see if I can find a bolt to fit this. If I do, I'll show you. I'm going to look up what a marples is. I seriously thought it said markless when I saw that, but no, it says marples. So, Sheffield marples. Find out what that is. I'm going to see if I can find a bolt to fit this. Let's get this off the table on the floor where it can get swept up. Alright, let's see if we can find a bolt for that. I'll show you what I find. This is damn near catastrophic if it wasn't so fucking funny. I went through the bucket. I went through every bag, box, and container inside that bucket. I found this here pile of bolts, all of which fit the threads on this vise. This pile, right here. Do you notice anything particular about this pile? I'll give you a minute. Considering the gap there that has to be taken up by the bolt in order to use it as a clamp to hold the vise down. These are the longest of these bolts. Ain't gonna do a fuck of a lot of good there, is it? So I'm gonna have to go out and buy bolts with this thread longer, a lot longer, to be able to use this clamping aspect of this. Otherwise, you have to put it on a table and screw it down in place with those holes, which I don't want to do. But anyway, that will be part 1 of the vise restoration, and part 2 will happen when I get out the power tools, I get out the angle grinder, I get out the bench grinder, and I start doing the harder stuff. So that's when we'll finish this vise. As it stands now, it's cleaned, works a lot better, it's oiled up, not going to rust any, and it is prepared to be completed. Sheffield marples. Still don't know what marples means. I'll figure it out. Talk to you next time. 2 of this is going to be a little different than I expected. Surprising myself, before deciding, finally cut this thing off, and before deciding to cut this off entirely, I figured maybe I can straighten it out, just give it a chance. And the use of the other vise and a pair of vice grips, and well, it's actually good. I mean, it was bent because it was used for something heavier than was intended. It wasn't meant for that. It's light duty. So managed to straighten it out with a hammer, or get the last kinks out of it with a hammer. With the, as I said, vise and a vice grip, just bend it into shape. So that's that. Now we just got to worry about this screw. And since I can't find one, and I don't want to go to the effort of driving all the way over Hell's Half Acre, measure the thread on those bolts, which is 3/8 by 16. Found the right die on a piece of rod that'll take the thread. And now I'll just make a new bolt. So I'm going to set this up in the vise, get some WD-40 there, and just start working on it. See how long it takes me. Put you in a stand so you can see. And this time I'll actually make sure you can see, because I did a hell of a terrible job with the camera work on the last part of this. That straight there. That straight there. So you can actually view the proceedings. Let's find a spot for you. It's in clear view. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's see what we can do here. I don't know how far or how well this is going to work. Well, it ain't going to work very well there unless I tighten this. Come on, you cocksucker. As far as heavy and light duty go, this is not what I would use that smaller vise for. That's what I made for it. Okay, let's see how that holds. It's going to take a while. For those of you who don't know how to use taps and dies, you move it forward a little bit with a cut. Every time you move it forward, you move it back to break the shaving out and let it drop. So you go forward a quarter, back half. Forward a quarter, back half. So you're going 3 ahead, 2 back. Every little bit. In a couple of minutes, you'll be able to see what comes out the top of this. It's going to be a threaded rod. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the head of this. There was a day long ago when this was a common thread, and I would have been able to find a dozen bolts to fit it. But early in my childhood, the Great White North switched to metric. It's kind of a pain in the dick measuring everything in French, which, believe it or not, is what metric is. See, it goes a lot faster than one would think. Especially with a coarse thread. 9 times out of 10, what I end up using tool and die, tap and die for is cleaning and straightening existing threads. Like if something got cross-threaded. A lot of time you can clean it up with the tap or with the die, get it back to working order. I did find out, looking stuff up online, what a Sheffield Marples actually is. I saw that exact vise, a slightly different version of it, without the clamp bottom. One without the clamp bottom is up on eBay for $109. Canadian, mind you, so less than that anywhere else. Get as much space of this as I can. Don't take much coolant when you're not using power tools. Screams of children outside. The house ain't going to be so quiet for the next little while. Well, that seems to be the end of it. So we get to that point. Run it all the way back. As it runs back, it cleans out your new threads a little bit. Don't go all the way off. The top, just past the top edge of it, and then all the way back down. Clean them out a bit more. And we're going to wire brush them anyway after the fact, clean them out even more. There. Back again. That all the way off. And as you can see, we now have a bolt with the square thread, which is good because I didn't want a really tight triangular thread, so this rod is a little thinner than it would otherwise be. brush her down and see how she fits. To where I can see it. Or where you can see it, I can see everything. There we are. Give it a quick brush. Let's check. We have a nut here for testing. There it is. How does that fit? If I can get it to start. Oh, you cocksucker. Get on there. That may or may not be the wrong size of thread. God damn it. Well, looks like I've got to do more work. The threads do line up, so it is a 16. But it is not, in fact, 3/8 by 16. I'll find the right one, do that again, and then show you when it works. Right size. So I took a nut that fits this bolt. This nut fits this bolt. This bolt fits in the threading on the vise. This nut fits that threading. So I got the right size this time. And it's the exact same process again. Forward a little bit, back way more. Forward a touch, quarter to an eighth, back at least a half. Over and over again until you get to the bottom. At least this time we know it's going to work. Like I said, it ain't going to be quiet for a while because the kids just got home. So I apologize for any background noise. It's neither my doing nor under my control. Imagine how embarrassed they're going to be when they hear themselves yelling and screaming in the background on a YouTube video. Personally, I don't care, but it's as may be. One does not pay attention to their surroundings. You suffer the consequences of your actions in those surroundings. Same as if you don't think a couple minutes ahead, you make mistakes that you can't fix. Luckily, it was a mistake I could fix. Alright, I'll show you when this is done, and we're setting it up in the vise. Cut. All nice and threaded up. Let's try it out. I know it's the right size of thread. I might take a tap and clean out these threads if there's any problem with it. Now that I know the size. Looks like that's probably not going to be necessary. Well, I do have to do something about this. This was a handle for it to be a clip. I have to straighten that out. It shouldn't take long. And there we have a working clamp bolt. Now I don't have a big flat pad to put across the top of it there, but I can't see a need for it. Useful, yes. Necessary, not so much. If it comes down to it, I could take a carriage washer or fender washer, as you'd call it, and take two nuts and jam it on there. That'd be about all I'd have to do. But I'll take this and try and straighten out this handle so we got some type of a leverage on it. It's springy, but whatever. I'll show you what happens after that. Straight as I'm going to get that. It's in there, holds in place. As far as a crank handle goes, it ain't bad. If it comes down to not working, I can drill a hole through it instead of just using these clipped ends. Drill a hole through it, put an actual rod through there. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that'd work out well enough. Just put it through there, jam that nut on, cut the end of the threaded rod off, and then we got another handle. But as it stands, she works. That is a completed restoration of a Sheffield Marples Vise, which, according to eBay, etc., is probably worth about $100 Canadian. All right. Talk to you next time. And next time I will be breaking out the power tools because all I got left is sharpening and putting on handles and that sort of thing.